So the first thing that I'm gonna talk about is the Dyatlov Pass Incident. I think I'm saying that right. So have you ever like heard of it, or do you know what it is?
I think so.
Okay, so basically, it was so on January 23rd in 1950, there was 10 hikers, right? And they all decided to go to like a winter trek, which is basically like a hike during the winter, right? And they decided to take a hike like through Russia's Ural like mountains. So basically, like the hike starts on this day, right? And then a couple days later, one of them has to come back, right? Because he's like having like medical issues, so he couldn't like continue the hike no more, so he had to like come back. But then the rest of the 9 hikers, they continued on, right? But it gets weird. So after 3 weeks of the start of the hike, the hikers were supposed to like send a message back to their club sport, right? So basically like the club that they were in. Mm-hmm. But the club did not receive anything. So they were like, what's going on? Off. Yeah. So like basically they send a search team because they did not, because think about it, the hike started on January 23rd and they didn't hear anything from like February 20th.
Oh, what?
So like that's basically a kind of like a month.
So they found him in February.
No, they did not hear anything like by February 20th. So they were like, it's almost been a month. We gotta go look for them. Something probably happened to them.
Look for them.
So because of this, they decided, of course, send a search party, right? Mm-hmm. So over like the couple of weeks of like the search party, they find 5 of the hikers, right? But they found like the 5 bodies, like all like obviously dead, but they were all like throughout the snow, right? And the injuries were like pretty common, which is like they think they died because of hypothermia. Mm-hmm. And
obviously it was really cold.
Yeah, it was really cold. But then one of the weirdest things is that one of the bodies, it looked like he bit his own knuckle. Like his knuckle was like literally bitten off.
Wait, his knuckle was bitten off?
Yeah, like this whole part was like bitten off, which is like really weird. And like, how can you like possibly do that, right? But it gets weirder. So then, like, because this was during the winter, of course. So they had to, like, stop the search party. And then months later, when it was in the spring and, like, the snow melted, they continued the search party.
Because they could see more if it was bodies around.
Yeah, because the snow melted and everything. And they found the last 5 bodies. Or the last 4, actually. And then, dude, this gets, like, really weird. Because so basically, they saw this, like, tent, right? Mm. And then they saw, like, the tent was collapsed and then it was covered in snow. And they saw, like, the bodies were around the tent. And they saw, like, that some of the bodies had, like, a fractured skull, a twisted neck.
What two of
the dead bodies had, like, their eyeballs or, like, their eyes were, like, missing.
No way. Right? Wait, the eyeballs were missing?
Yeah, the eyeballs were missing. And one of them had, like, a missing tongue. So they did not have their tongue no more. What? The thing about it, like, how could this happen? How can you, like... It just doesn't make sense, like, how this happened.
Also, like, the very specific injuries or, like, the way they die, like, neck.
Like, how can you, like, remove
also, one of them is eyes missing, one of them is tucked. Like, for me, like, I don't know if it was, like, how do I say this? I don't think it was, like, any, like, wolves. You know, this is in Russia, in a high amount of, like, maybe, I don't know, snow leopard or...
Yeah.
I don't think wolves, because... Or any animal that we know of could have done that because, like, they don't pick and choose, like, yo, I'm only going to eat the tongue, bro.
Yeah.
Or I'm only going to eat the eyes. No, when they go, when they're going to go ham, they're going to eat the whole body and leave bones and everything. And obviously when they do that, there's, like, signs, you know what I mean? But it's really weird how, like, in some of the bodies, it's, like, different. Like, one of his tongue, one of the eyes.
One is a twisted neck.
And also to die like that, that's not an easy way to...
Yeah, it's not an easy way.
You can't just stand up and just... No, you have to have, like... really strong hands and
and
force.
You know what's also weird is that, like, when they were really looking through the tent, they found that, like, the tent was, like, sliced. So, like, it had from the inside.
Oh, wow.
It was cut from the inside, which is, like, really weird. And then also they found that like, on the floor of the tent, it was, like, a plate and the food. So it looked like they were about to eat. But then obviously, like, something happened because, like, all the injuries and then, like, the slice. So many people were saying that this was probably, like, a Yeti attack.
Bruh.
But think about it. Like,
I mean,
all these can't happen. Like, somebody can't, or somebody could, but like, it just doesn't make sense how this all happened. The one thing
I would say is I don't think, because, you know, maybe the possibility is maybe they got lost and they were trying to go crazy. I don't think it was that, because like how you were saying, they were all gonna eat. They all had plates and food in their tent, so they were all cool. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, something, and then that's how I know maybe something got in the tent, because obviously they were ripping it from the inside out, so they were trying to get out in a hurry. You know what I mean? Damn, that's a good one. It's just
like, how does it make any sense? Low key, it might be a Yeti.
A Yeti?
I don't, cause like, okay, you know, I'm gonna tell you what they said the death was.
Cause look, the thing about this, right? If it was, okay, maybe in the middle of nowhere. The one thing that I don't think happened was they went crazy and they got lost.
Yeah.
Cause that's a real weird.
Why would they go crazy? Like.
No, but I'm saying they did. If they did go crazy, like, you just do one tongue. You just do 2 eyes, and then you break a nut. That's really hard to do. And not only that, if it's 1 or 2, a couple of them, it's 9 of them in total. You know what I mean? So I rule that out. Second, maybe there's like somebody out there, like a murderer or something like that. But I doubt it, because it's like 9 of them, and it's not bullet. It's just like physical force of just like breaking necks, spines. And then how do you do an eyes, dude? Like,
well, I don't know. But like, it all doesn't make any sense. So like, when they were trying to find like a cause of a death, they basically just said they died from like a compelling natural force.
Yeah,
because they really couldn't find like why all this happened. Like, it was just so weird. So they said,
do you really think it was like a Bigfoot, Yeti, or something like that?
Dude, low key, like, well, it just really doesn't make sense. So I feel like,
that doesn't make sense at all.
I feel like it's probably like, you know, a Yeti, you know, I don't know, like,
because mind you, right, like, it's 9 people, so it's not just like 3, 4 people. Like, if it was something small, like a pack of wolves or something like that, it's 9 against, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it's like an animal. I don't think it's like an wolves or anything like that.
And I also rule out, I would guess another human, because you know how there's people that live in the middle of nowhere, you never know, you know. But like I said, if there would have been evidence, that's what I'm saying. The lack of evidence means whatever did this is like, I don't know, pro or something. I don't know. Because let's just say if it was somebody, you would have seen bullets or like maybe scratch marks or like at least DNA or something. You know what I mean? But there was nothing. It was just like, that's really weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
and then those specific injuries. Objects in their body, you know.
It's all weird.
So you really think it was a Yeti, or like a Bigfoot, or something paranormal, or something like not explainable?
Honestly, I think it really is something like paranormal, or like, because I really don't think it's animals. I really don't think it's humans. I feel like the most. I honestly, like, I don't know. I just know it's not animals, or probably not a human. But like,
I mean, I'm leaning towards something mysterious, paranormal.
Yeah, something.
Maybe a Yeti or Bigfoot. I don't know. Because like I said, that evidence, the lack of evidence, and the evidence that there is, it just doesn't make any sense for someone to do that. You know what I mean?
And also, like, it's like freezing. So like, how is like a human gonna be able to like do all this? And
also to multiple people, because it wasn't just like I said 2 or 3. It was 9 of them. And I'm pretty sure they were experienced. You know, they weren't just like an average Joe. Hey, I'm just gonna. Hike up
to take eyeballs out, like, you gotta like gotta know how to do that. Cause like, I don't think, I don't know, like, taking eyeballs out is like pretty weird and pretty not normal.
But like, can you imagine, like, I mean, like I said, we don't know what happened, but like, imagine like being in that situation where you're like inside your tent, and like how you said you're about to eat, and next thing you know, something scares the living crap out of you so much. Like, you're ripping your tent from the inside out to get out. Yeah. Well, let's just say if it was a Yeti, right, in this situation, imagine you're eating and you start hearing the screams, and then all you hear is like the cracks of the bone. No. Oh my God, that will make me. It's like, I'm out of here, bro.
No, I'll be running.
I mean, it does make sense. It does make sense. Yeah. But like, I can't imagine, like, if I was one of them, like, bro, like, there's a big ass Bigfoot out there. Like, where am I gonna run to?
Yeah, it's all pretty weird, but yeah, that's what they said the cause of death was.
And also the thing that the cause of death is like undetermined, or like,
yeah, you know, they couldn't even like find it themselves. So
yeah, that's a good one. That's a pretty weird one. I really think, well, the more like I said, lack of evidence and all that. I think maybe a Bigfoot, something paranormal or something like that.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
See.